Hey, everybody. We want to welcome you to the Hurdy Burke Internet Broadcast Network. And today we've got a great interview on our podcast with Paul Morelli, and he is with PC Heroes. And we are going to talk about viruses and all sorts of stuff he can do to help you with your PC, laptop, desktop, consumer business. We're going to talk about it all. But before we do that, we want to hear a short message from our main sponsor for 2017, Jerry's Garage. Thank you, Todd Frank, for doing so. We'll be right back.
Howdy, this is Todd Frank, owner of Jerry's Garage. We've been serving our customers since 1967. You know, vehicles have changed greatly over the years, but quality customer service and sound repairs have not. We've earned a great reputation with our clients. Check us out on Google and Yelp. So when you need repairs or maintenance on your gas or diesel vehicle, you'll call us. We work by appointment only and sometimes emergency. So our number is 512-255-7627. That number again, 512-255-7627. We look forward to earning your business at Jerry's Garage.
Okay, we're back. We're back with Paul, and Paul's with PC Heroes. And Paul, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely, Hurdy. Thank you for inviting me.
Man, this is great. I get to interview local Austin business, and I've been excited about talking to you for a long time because I knew you really do help clients out. And what we like to do on this podcast, Paul, is make sure that we give your potential clients great information about what you do. And in today's world, we really are talking about a service that's awesome that you offer. So first of all, Paul, how did My PC Heroes come about? How did you come up with the name, and how did it start?
Well, Hurdy, I've been providing computer support, network support, basically technical support for about the last, 13 going into about 14 years. And
Wow.
In that time, I was actually running a business called Business Software Made Easy, as I did a lot more training in the beginning, but it evolved into more technical support. And the My PC Heroes, that's just merely a name change and actually a focus in my, also a change in focus for my business, where I try to assist busy professionals with a very common and vexing problem that is virus removal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I started out.
Yeah, and I know that I love the name, and I'm hearing your network person Irma going around singing a song right now. We're here to save the day, right? So that seems to be her tagline, which is kind of cool. Hey, so when you're working on PCs, laptops, desktops, what are some of the most common issues your clients generally experience?
Probably the most common issue, and this is the one that goes, it doesn't matter if you're an individual working at home or if you're part of a larger organization. The largest one is just merely getting a virus on your computer. That seems to be the number one service that I'm tasked to help address. It's really kind of unfortunate, but there are people that wake up every day and their job is to create these viruses, and inevitably everyone is going to get one on their computer.
Yeah, and what's really hard to believe, Paul, and I know we'll talk about this some, is the amount of people that own PCs, desktops at home or whatever that don't even protect their computers, which just drives me crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you bump into that quite a bit, correct?
Yeah, that does happen quite a bit. It's either they don't have any protection or the subscription to their protection has lapsed.
And they didn't upgrade it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
And so what type of clients do you service, Paul? Is it business or consumers or both?
It's really both, but I kind of have a knack for assisting. Usually it's going to be professionals that are working out of their home. Just because the nature of my business is built around a fast remedy, the ones who benefit the most are typically going to be the professionals that work out of their home. It's just themselves, or maybe themselves and their spouses, or just a small staff. because, and typically the businesses who don't have a dedicated IT department, those are the ones who could benefit most from what I have to offer.
Right, and making sure that and so one thing I don't see in your questions here is, maybe this is a good time to address this, how do they go about getting if their computer's infected or if it's just running slow or it's not working, how do they get to you? Do you pick up? Do you deliver? Do they come to you? How does that work?
That's a great question, Herdy. It's actually very simple in the way I've designed my service. It's actually a total turnkey service. So all you need to do is you call our virus removal hotline, and could I give that number right now, Herdy?
Yeah, go ahead, and we'll post it too for you. But go ahead and give it to us.
Excellent. The virus removal hotline is 512-693. 8070. That's 8070. And when you call our virus removal hotline, you'll be in touch with one of our representatives who will ask you a few questions that's going to be helpful in removing whatever infection that you may have. And we will, after they gather those answers, the first step is they'll go ahead and schedule an immediate pickup of your computer, no matter where you're at in the Austin area. The computer is then taken to our facilities. We go ahead and treat it with our proprietary virus removal system. We then designate the computer virus-free, and then we'll call you and we'll schedule an immediate delivery of your computer. And we do that all for a flat rate. It's $159.99 plus tax. And again, that includes pickup and delivery and virus removal.
That's awesome. What a great service. And I know you're busy because I hear Irma talking about it all the time. Honestly, you probably go through some challenges. So what's the most difficult challenge? I love this question. It's honest. What is the most difficult challenge you experienced with the client besides me?
Well, it's actually quite
a joke, by the way. I had to throw that in there.
Well, I think the challenge is probably not what you would think. My system, I've developed it over the last 13 years for removing viruses, so I'm pretty effective. And I'd say I have probably about a 95% effective rate for removing viruses once I get a computer into our facilities and we can start running our treatment on it.
Right.
But the hardest part is, for some of those computers, there are viruses that just cannot be removed, for that small percentage. And then the challenge is we have to make a decision with our client. Do we wipe the computer and then reinstall Windows and then all the other programs, restoring the data, etc.? Or is it time just to get a new computer because of the cost trade-off?
That's so me.
So yeah.
What he's describing happened to me, and I gave Paul my laptop, and I was getting a runtime error, and it was virtually impossible to reconstruct the executive part of the system. It just was messing up everything. So I think I was one of those, Paul, where it was either formatted or go buy a new one, right? Because it was just so corrupted that we just couldn't make it work, And there are those kind of things that happen. So, yeah, that's a perfect story. Thank you for that. I'm laughing at myself because I think I just heard my name without you saying it, but thank you. Hey, so one thing I want to talk about, which kind of intrigues me a little bit, are what are some of the common viruses to look out for? And I know we got a lot of things today, viruses, malware. So what are the things you're bumping into you want to tell us a little bit about?
Probably the most common ones are the 800 numbers. Those are the ones where maybe you stumble upon a website or you're even on a website and you get a pop-up message saying that your computer's been infected. And I love the way these guys designed these because they make them so you just cannot miss it. I mean, they have flashing lights, they have sirens, they got people yapping at you, telling you your computer's infected, and
Right.
the only way to remove this infection is to call this 800 number immediately. So for those who are uninitiated, and quite surprisingly, a lot of people do, and it's basically a sweatshop kind of scam where
Right.
you end up calling somebody off in another country, and although they try to give you reassurance that they are indeed with Microsoft, let's say, the whole process is indeed a scam, and really they shouldn't even be contacted, much less. And unfortunately, some customers will permit them to remotely access their computer, and that just is not
good. Not good. Now, tell me about the world. We still bump into, Trojans, right? And we still get some of the, tell me a little bit about the ransomware thing that's been going around. I know that is pretty common too, right?
That is correct. Yeah, ransomware also very, very common. Unfortunately, it is also, it's very prolific.
Right.
Ransomware, for those who may not know, it's a specially designed virus, and what it will do is it will attempt, once it gets installed in your computer, it will encrypt all of your personal data, meaning your PDFs, your pictures, spreadsheets, Word documents, and even your email. And once it's done encrypting, or at least in the process of encrypting, you'll get a pop-up message. Usually your background will change to something that looks very sinister. It'll give you some very specific instructions on how to decrypt your hard drive, and usually the cost for that, I think the most recent ones, maybe a minimum of $1,000 to you have to wire off to a secret location, basically, and then they'll provide a key to uninstall or basically decrypt your computer.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to mention, it's pretty sinister. These types of viruses usually come in as attachments. They'll even appear to come from individuals but something will be a little off because it'll be something that you weren't expecting. And unfortunately, people's curiosity gets the better of them. They open the attachment, and then they go further in. And once they've opened that particular attachment, that's when the payload is deployed and the encryption begins.
Unbelievable. And I guess, I tell people all the time, rather be safe than sorry, right? If you're not sure of something, don't open it. Use some common sense, right? The other thing is, what are some symptoms of PC, laptop, or desktop that has some viruses on it? What do you generally see?
Generally, it's exactly. The computer's running slow. Maybe one particular computer is working real slow, but maybe another computer on the same network is running real fast. Another one would be maybe when you're doing some searches on the internet, the search results, when you try to click on them, you're diverted to a totally different website, something you didn't expect.
Right.
So typically the slowness, diversions, of course the pop-up messages for calling an 800 number, and then there's some other ones like I found that there are a lot of computers will have a software installed called Driver Updater, or toolbars that were never permitted to be installed, or just suddenly appeared is probably more like it. Things like that.
Some of that malware browser stuff, like you get all of a sudden Ask is your search engine, or Rocket, or some of these browsers that take over what you set up in your initial extensions, right, or on your web page. So be looking for those things, right? I see that a lot, by the way, in PCs, where people get a different browser and it slows it up, and it's just ripping the computer apart over time, right? So, all right, we're talking to Paul from PC Heroes. We want to thank Todd Frank from Jerry's Garage for being our sponsor. We're going to hear a brief 30-second message from him, and then we'll be right back with Paul.
Howdy, this is Todd Frank, owner of Jerry's Garage. We've been serving our customers since 1967. You know, vehicles have changed greatly over the years, but quality customer service and sound repairs have not. We've earned a great reputation with our clients. Check us out on Google and Yelp. So when you need repairs or maintenance on your gas or diesel vehicle, you'll call us. We work by appointment only and sometimes emergency. So our number is 512-255-7627. That number again, 512-255-7627. We look forward to earning your business at Jerry's Garage.
Okay, we're back, and we're with Paul from PC Heroes. And Paul, what can be done to minimize virus infections on laptops and PCs? What are the things you recommend folks do to kind of take some of the risks, or maybe 90% of the risk away from their PC, laptop, or desktop?
Well, probably the number one thing is have a security software installed on your computer. That's probably the number one thing. And equally as important, know the name of your security software that's installed on your computer.
I'm laughing. Okay, got it.
And of course, like with all security software, it's going to come with at least a year-long subscription. And I guess the third thing is to make sure that your subscription doesn't lapse. So if you know the first two, then you'll probably be able to figure out the last one. So that's probably the first line of defense. Other than that, something that you may not realize is, and this is something that I've seen in practice, is a lot of times people who work out of their homes, when they wrap up at their work day, they let their kids onto their computer. Yeah. And it kind of blows my mind that somebody would do that, and that's okay, because they try to rationalize, like little Timmy, he's just doing his homework, and or Sally, she's just looking for things to print out so she can color. Well, inevitably, there's going to be some pop-up somewhere or some misclick, and your computer is going to be toast because there was a pretty pony icon that was flashing that got somebody's attention, and that's probably one of the more common ones, and it's actually quite common. I've seen where individuals will let their kiddos on their computers after hours. It's going to be a lot cheaper in the long run just to buy them their own computer and just set it up somewhere where you can watch them. That's probably going to be the best option.
Absolutely. To me, that would be a good virus deterrent, is that you put your kids on, these computers have gotten so cheap today. It almost makes sense, and you certainly don't want the kids on your business computer, right, if you work out of the house, because that's your business computer, and you can't afford to lose that, so I get that. So, hey, one of the things that I guess also folks could do on their virus protection when they buy the subscription is make sure they go into the back end of that, right, and set up automatic backups and make sure they click on making sure updates are automated, right, so they keep up with what's going on, correct?
No, that's correct. Regarding the subscription, usually it's a year-long subscription, and with many security services, there's an auto-renew feature, so that way the subscription will just automatically renew perpetually, which is a good idea. But you also mentioned, too, Hurdy, the backup.
Yes.
Having some kind of backup is also paramount, because even with the best security software, nothing is going to be 100%.
Right.
And us as individual professionals, we're going to have some kind of a system to have some recourse if the worst happens. And that might not even be a virus. That could be a total hard drive failure or even a theft. And we have to have a way to recover our information. So with that, I usually recommend some kind of online system, something like Carbonite, which is exceptionally inexpensive. That's Carbonite.com. I don't have a relationship with them, but they just have a good service. Mosey.com, also very similar.
Yep.
And there's a few other ones as well, but those are probably the most popular ones, and they seem to offer really good support as well.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Now, is there any other thing somebody can run on top of their virus, like Malwarebytes? Do you recommend that free version or the paid version from them? Do you recommend Malwarebytes being added to your PC for extra help?
Yeah, that's Malwarebytes actually is a great tool, and it can be run in conjunction with your antivirus.
Right.
Again, antivirus, that does a great job. Malwarebytes seems to have come out and focused on some very specific threats, and it many times will catch something that even the best security software won't intercept. So it's almost like having a second opinion when you can run that Malwarebytes.
Exactly,
and,
yeah.
It seems to work real well.
All right, so one thing you have on here, and I'm anxious to hear it because I think I know the answer, but you've got, does your service include Apple Macs as well, and are they less likely to get a virus attack, or is that a myth?
That is starting to become a myth. Not that long ago, Macs were pretty solid. But the long and short, and I'll give you the short history here. Apple started using Intel chips. That's as their processors, and that's the same kind of chips that are run in Windows computers.
Ah.
And with that switch, that's what's made them more vulnerable in the long run. So right now, what I've been seeing is typically those 800 numbers that will lock Safari. Safari is the Mac browser. It's the equivalent of Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge.
All the other ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, some of these they're pretty bad. Where they're just really hard to clear out Safari. And with that, yes, I do assist with Mac, and I have a separate system to deal with any Mac that's been infected with one of these 800 numbers or even worse.
So you're saying that from the old days of Apple, where their Macs were always very secured because they kept automatic updates through their own proprietary operating system, right? That now with these new chipsets coming in from Intel, that they kind of opens the door a little bit on the back end of these systems. Correct? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, and there's other things that have been circumvented in the Mac world that unfortunately make it again Macs vulnerable.
Right. So we did discuss this a little bit up around the second question I asked you, but just to recap a little bit, Paul, how does your virus removal system work? Well, all anybody needs to do if they find themselves with a slow computer or computer that is just not behaving like it should, they can call us on our virus removal hotline. That's 512-693-8070. They'll be put in touch with one of our representatives. They'll ask a few questions about some of the symptoms that they're experiencing. We'll schedule an immediate pickup of their computer from their location. So all they need to do is just merely provide the laptop or the desktop computer. They don't even need to provide keyboards or mice or anything like that. For example, desktop computers, we just merely need the box. Right.
The computer will be transported to our facilities. We'll treat it with our proprietary process to remove the virus, and once the virus is removed, we'll schedule an immediate delivery of your computer. And we do that, I don't think I mentioned this, but we do that all within 24 hours. That's awesome. Woohoo! People love that, right? That's cool. Hey, and so absolutely, yeah. And one thing we haven't addressed is, let's make sure everybody knows this, because you can't drive to California to pick up a computer tomorrow morning and drive back and have it 24 hours. So your service area, Austin, surrounding area, what are your boundaries? Boundaries are Austin, of course, Cedar Park, Round Rock, Hutto, Pflugerville, Lake Travis, and Westlake. That's kind of our general area. Good. And so that makes it easy. So the people in Austin know that you're here for them. I mean, you're obviously you've got enough to do here locally with the size of the city, so that's perfect. And one thing I didn't know is it looks like you might offer some other, PC Heroes offers some other services, Paul. What are those? Well, typically, that I would have to take it on a case-by-case basis, but I'm running My PC Heroes here as a service, and that is the virus removal service, and that's that is the primary area that I want to focus on. My other services, which I kind of conduct on as needed basis, are services in regards to computer or network management, server setup, PC setup, data access, and things like that.
Sure.
So typically for that, yeah. So in a way, I'm kind of doing some duplicitous work where I'm still out in the field every day. I'm still working with the individuals and small businesses and helping them with their particular needs. But really, the My PC Heroes, I'm really trying to get that going, and because I think it would be a boon to any individual who gets infected with a virus on their computer. Actually, I think our service is far better than anyone else's, not only for the price, but even the turnaround time.
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of your guarantee, and I think the price is awesome, and I think that is great. Well, listen, Paul, I want to thank you for taking time out to be a part of this podcast, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to hear this and benefit from your service in the Austin area, and I want to thank you for being on the show. I hope you enjoyed it.
I certainly did, Herdy. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, listen, you've been listening to the Hurdy Burke Internet Broadcast Network. Today we talked to Paul with PC Heroes. I'm going to be posting that hotline number. And, Paul, do you mind if I put a link to your website also? Is that okay?
That would be great. I'd appreciate that.
We will do that. And you guys have a great day. Paul, thank you again. And thanks for listening to the Hurdy Burke Internet Broadcast Network.